your legal launchpad.
Welcome back to your Legal Launchpad. Today I have with me Dean Reliford, Associate Dean for our Career Planning and Professional Development. Hi, how are you?
Good. Nice to join you today.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to start off by asking you, what is career planning and professional development?
Great question. So we help students and graduates with the who, what, when, where, why, and how of developing a career, right? And we try to take an approach where we address individual needs and group needs, right? So I think the best way to put it is you could come to us knowing exactly what it is you want to do or not knowing what you want to do at all. And we're going to help you solve that question for yourself and remind you, right, that whatever it is you answer today, right, doesn't have to be your answer tomorrow, but we have to figure out how to help you assess where you are today and what you need to be able to start and launch your career, right? And then if down the line comes and you go, that thing that I wanted before didn't work, our job is to help you figure out the why and where this is going to take you down your career trajectory. So we do the who, what, when, where, why, and how of your career at different stages.
Amazing support system. So the next question I have for you today is, how do you help students find their career path?
That's a great question, and it depends on the person in front of me, right, or in front of us. There are, and where you are necessarily in the career development cycle. So you could come to me and not know at all what you want to do, right? But by the time you've gotten to law school, you probably have a good idea of what your God-given talents are, your skills that you enjoy using, and environmental preferences for work. And we can take those basic building blocks and help you identify what it is you're going to do naturally to be successful at work, which skills you like to use and which skills you want to develop at work, right? And then how your environmental preferences can play into a very rewarding career. And then once we have an idea about that, we start talking about, well, what do you know, right? What are the things that you've enjoyed learning in law school so far? Or the things you've enjoyed learning about life that keep your attention, right? And so kind of diving into what comes natural to you in terms of learning. Not that everything needs to come natural to you, but what are you gravitating towards? And then we use that to help you build a picture, right, that can help you sort of take the next step, right? But before we get to that next step of applying to things, the next conversation we need to have is, where are your passions, right? It's kind of funny, over the years, I've started calling it PATISC, right? Because before we start doing a job search, we're going to talk about passion, talent, skills, knowledge, and environment, and doesn't necessarily give a good acronym. So PATISC is what I've come up with. But once we can address that, right, then the finding out of the what you're going to do part, so of the who, what, when, where, why, and how, becomes a lot easier, right? Because we're helping you build your filter for what's going to sound interesting to you versus what's going to be not interesting to you. Because the idea behind this is we want you to try and explore different things. But before you go try and explore, we want you to have your filter for, is this something that I have a good shot at understanding or enjoying, right? And then being able to organically write your cover letter, your job search material. So this is, we're talking about the how do I get a job part, right? So before you can really engage in the how, right? So how do you get your resume together? How do you get your materials out there? How do you want to write your cover letter? How do you go about finding a job? Understanding yourself organically helps you put together better materials. So if I were to tell you right now, a lot of times where I enjoy helping out students the most is, you ever put together your resume and it's just a series of, I did this, then I did this, then I did this, and I did this. And then you go to the next entry, it's, and I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. And you go to the next entry, it's, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. If it's boring to you, it's boring to the employer too, right? Like, and it's not really telling you a lot of what it is from a talent perspective you have to offer or what level of impact you've had. So if we can start off with this PATISC model, right? and we find out what your passion is and what your talent is and the skills you enjoy using, we can actually write a better resume. And then we can use that to come up with a better cover letter, right? And then we kind of take you through that process, or at least we try to, right? And get you to put down good organic materials. Because once you have that, the next stage of the how, right? Like how do you get a job in the interview process becomes a lot easier, because now you're just talking about the stuff that you've thought about a lot, but pointing it towards a particular employer that's in front of you. So I hope I didn't give you too big of an answer for how we take somebody through it, but that's the starting point. The next thing that we really try to do, because at the end of the day, this thing called law has so many cool places where you can go, right? Whether you have a career where you're using your law degree, but bar admission's not required, or whether you're
JD Advantage.
there we go. You work with our office though, so I'm glad that you know that phrase. Or whether you go into a career path where your bar admission is required, but you're going to work for the government, right? Or you're going to go work for a business, or you're going to go work for a law firm, right? Our goal is to help you try to ascertain um, why those things are going to be exciting for you, right? And to do that, we engage in a lot of career exploration work. So we have programs all throughout the course of your career in law school to help you figure out what are those things that are going to be exciting to me. So we do a lot of career exploration work with you, which is why we have Government Week, JD Advantage Night. We have Tampa Day, Jacksonville Day. Lord willing, next year we'll have South Florida Day as well. And then we have a host of programs during Career Week in the spring semester. And then we pair that with what we call on-campus recruitment programs. So from July through really June now through August, employers do their recruiting in the fall semester. We have some that come in later in the fall semester. And then we have employers coming to you in the spring semester as well for spring recruitment. And so our goal with the programming through the year is to help you, as you're a 1L and a 2L, start really trying to answer those questions of what's going to excite me, right? But that's really the career exploration part of this. And we try our hardest to get the students to come out to the events, because we know you're getting pulled in a million different directions. But the goal is that if you go to these events each year, we've set them up in a way so that hopefully by the time you're done your third year of law school, not only do you have opportunities for permanent employment, but you've actually figured out your why, like why you're trying to do this, your what you're going to do, right? And the how, we've put a few ways in front of you how to go get the job opportunities. And so the typical student, if we do the PTISC work, the exploration work, right, and then put a bunch of opportunities in front of you for you to apply to opportunities and meet different employers and do some networking, our goal for you by the time you're done is to have enough people in your network, right, where you can strike out and find employment if you don't have some already, enough opportunities to meet employers where hopefully you've been able to line up interviews, enough opportunities with us to do some mock interviewing and exploration work about careers, so that when you're out of here, you can do these things on your own, right? Without necessarily having to rely on us. But the beauty of our office is we're here for you even after you've graduated.
That's perfect. So, how can prospective students and undergraduate students prepare for law school to help them navigate through your department?
Sure. So, again, you understand, I'm also a law school graduate and a lawyer, so this comes natural to me. It depends, right? So, not a Florida lawyer. I want to get that out there. But the fact of the matter is, it depends on the person, right? So that PTISC, right, like passion, talent, skills, knowledge, environment. If you're an undergrad, it's never too early to start thinking about that, right? Like passion. What do I have that burning desire to go do? I really feel like that's divine. Like that God gives us a passion, like, or multiple passions. And even if you don't think it connects with law, explore it, figure out what that passion is, because there's a solid chance that law touches it, right? That talent, those God-given abilities. I mean, we're all constructed very differently. right? But you've been doing things since you were younger that, like, your parents or people who love you recognize that Amber does this better or differently than other people do, right? You got to figure out what those are so you can lean into them. And in skills, we all have, these skills that we've developed over time, right? So the skills are nothing but aptitudes we've developed over time and practice, right? So if you think about it, um, when you were in high school, you probably had a job, right? And at that job, there were things that you liked doing, things that you were like, I could do that. It doesn't float my boat, right? And there are things that you were asked to do where you're just like, if I never did that again, I would be totally happy with the way my life turned out, right? That's going to be true for your high school job, your internships in college, and then obviously for you law students even after. So understanding what those skills were that you enjoyed using at work versus the ones where you're like, I never want to do that again, versus the ones in the middle, right? Where you're like, I could do it, but if I never had to do it again, I'd also be cool with that too. Like, that's really helpful. And so by the time you get to school, understanding from that perspective, who you are is a gigantic help to you in terms of adjusting to the new world of being in law school, right? And then obviously, if you want to build skills that are relevant to somebody who's in law school, a chance to get experience doing writing, whatever kind of writing that's going to be, is going to be helpful to you. Places where you have to meet deadlines, also going to be very helpful to you. Places where you're given more responsibility, right? Like, also going to be helpful to you. And then times where you get a chance to do some critical thinking, right? Also going to be very helpful to you. And those don't have to necessarily be at law firms, right? Like, they can be at an investment bank or a bank or a job as a salesman, right? Like, just places where you're going to be put to the test, but you do want to seek out that writing and communication skill, at the undergraduate level. And then the last thing I think that if I were to go back to 20-year-old me or 21-year-old me, knowing that I wanted to go to law school, right? Like, piece of advice I would give is go talk to 10 or 15 lawyers about who they are and what skills they use at work. Because then you can start deciding, well, based off of who I'm talking to and what it is they do, that sounds more attractive to me than the other thing, right? And starting to build the composite picture for yourself of what your career could look like.
That's amazing. So to close us out, we've already been touching on professional identity, but how does your department help students build their professional identity?
Right. So the first thing is the ABA wants us to talk to students about their professional identity and formation of it. And it's really the values, guiding principles, well-being practices, and the skills, right, that are going to make you a really good and successful attorney. And so we put on a lot of programming geared at identifying those things, right? Like, so we have a series that we work on with the Orange County Bar Association Professionalism Committee addressing that topic in general. We have a phenomenal legal clinic on campus who also addresses those topics with the students. From what a little birdie tells me, you might have a chance to talk to Professor Dorson at some point in time. And then we have a suite of programs that we put on throughout the course of the year anyway, with the idea of asking the professionals to address those topics during the conversations we have so that we hit it early and often with you. Our goal is throughout the course of the year, when you come out to career development programs, you're going to hear a little bit about this all year long. And then we have specialized programs that go into it in depth. And we offer individualized career counseling sessions for the students, where we definitely talk about that and explore what it means to be a professional, what it means to develop your identity, and the importance of getting some things right now in law school. Because when it's flying at you at 100 miles an hour in the real world, we'd like you to have already thought about it a few times and worked out the kinks before you get out this building.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You are welcome. And thank you very much for having me.
No problem.
Your Legal Launchpad by Florida A&M University College of Law. Origin, Jasmine Sutherland. Host, Amber Newsom and Jasmine Sutherland. Producers, Crystal Eugene, Cynthia Germain, Kayla Joseph, and Leanna O'Sullivan. Camera, Kayla Joseph and Leanna O'Sullivan. Audio, Riley Gibson. Set design, Crystal Eugene and Cynthia Germain. Editing, Riley Gibson. Intro voice actress, Richey DeVault. Credits voice actor, Riley Gibson. Executive producers, Mildred Graham and Robin Holmes.
Hey, it's Amber. Thank you for tuning in to the first season of your Legal Launchpad. Stay tuned for the next season. Hope to see you there.